Congressman Pete Sessions, thank you for being here with me today. Texas lawmakers have put forward a proposed congressional map mid-decade. Your thoughts on the proposal?
The state of Texas made a determination that they wanted to come and redistrict again. This is obviously a highlight from across the country. A number of other states have decided that they will overwhelmingly use the advantages that they have, blue states, and so Texas stepped in and did the same. This is a changing of some 5 seats across the state of Texas. That's the guess, that's what the word is. And it's something that the legislature is doing, and the proposal is expected to be passed any day now.
Do you support, the changing, the state changing its congressional districts during this time?
Well, from a perspective that as a member of Congress, I think maintaining a majority to support Donald Trump in turning this country around, it's essential. But from a personal perspective, I've really enjoyed the opportunity not only to get to know East Texas, but to represent them, their values, the great people who were there, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. So if this does pass, I've got a year and a half left, and we will work like crazy to make sure that the representation is up to snuff with a group of people who not only are proud to be Texans, but proud to be Americans, and we've got work to do.
Well, let me ask you, because Texas 17, which you currently represent, changes significantly with this proposed map. And again, this is a proposal, it's not the final thing, but the proposal would make it so the 17th district is largely centered. Well, it's always been centered in Central Texas, but Nacogdoches, Lufkin would no longer be part, of the 17th district. I want to get your thoughts on that.
The changes would be rather significant, not just to me, but also the district from the land and territory and people that we represent today. We would be losing Huntsville, Texas. We'd be losing Deep East Texas, Nacogdoches, Lufkin. We'd be losing Crockett. We'd be losing about 6 counties that have been not only exceptional in their qualities of friendship that I have developed with them, but the work that we enjoyed, and it would move this district to where we're in north-south along I-35, which is actually where a lot of the growth is, and down to Austin, Texas, or at least the suburbs. So it would once again, a significant portion of the district would be outside of Waco and down south.
If this proposed map were to go through, and Deep East Texas is no longer are no longer your constituents, would you run again in the 17th district based in Waco, or would you seek to change where you're running? Would you seek to change districts if this proposed map goes through?
Well, that's really a pretty good question. I live in Waco, Texas. I was born, I was raised, I live here. It would require me to move either south to Austin, which is where the district is, all the way east. Would I love to live in Deep East Texas? You bet I would, but probably I would not move my home to do that. So the 17th district is where I will stay.
I remember I listened to one testimony during the Senate hearing. There have been multiple Senate hearings on this redistricting, but one individual from Nacogdoches said, the 17th district is too large. It should really encompass mostly just parts of East Texas and not extend out to Waco, out to Austin. Would you echo that sentiment in any way? Do you feel as though the district is too large, or it's just right?
Well, let me say this. There were a lot of people that held an opinion that it would be amazingly difficult for a member of Congress to do this. I think we have proven over and over and over again of the hard work that we put in, the times that we have been in Huntsville and Nacogdoches and Lufkin and Crockett and points in between, because we care very much about them. I mean, I've been in Latexo 4 times and over this year and a half, and it has been a delight for me to represent them, and I truly am going to miss it. But do I think it fits within the way it's going to be? It's hard to know. I know that under the what I have seen, Nacogdoches and Lufkin would be separated in two distinctly different congressional seats. Is that in the best interest too? I don't. That's up to the legislature, not members of Congress. My job is to make it work. My job is to represent people. My job is to make sure that they know that I care about them. And I think that people in Deep East Texas know that I deeply care about them and their success and the success of this country.
You mentioned something there, you're going to miss representing parts of East Texas. If I heard you correctly, it sounds like you feel as though this map is going to go through and you'll lose that constituency. Am I correct in saying that?
Well, the whole assumption of this interview is that it is a possibility. And the interview was seeking my feedback that how much I have enjoyed being a part of Deep East Texas and the people and the activity and the really livelihood of these communities, of which I have completely enjoyed. The bottom line is we have about as much time left as time that I have served. And so I'm going to remain very active and enjoy every bit of it. But it is a true statement that this may not go through. I mean, they have to be able to get enough people to vote on the bill. And if Democrats chose not to be there, then it would not happen, and I'd be smooth sailing.
And I appreciate you talking about, your thoughts on this proposed map. And of course, when this was put forward, Governor Abbott claimed this was put forward as a result. He cited concerns, constitutional concerns from the Department of Justice for the current map that's in place. Do you feel as though, there's any justification to that the current map in Texas is unconstitutional in any way?
In fact, what has happened is the law that the legislature dealt with some 5 years ago, before these seats were redrawn, that law has been changed by the Supreme Court. And as a result of those changes and across the country, and things that federal courts have changed in blue states also, they have made changes that when you apply all of the law, the body of law now, it was in Texas' best interest to make a change. It's in Texas' best interest to have as many Republicans as they can, because Texas is now the model of growth and opportunity for the country. And we are still struggling with the number of Republicans that we have in a close environment. So, no, I think it's in the best interest of Texas and the Republican Party to add 5 new seats.
We're getting down to the end here. I'm cognizant of your time. I do want to ask you, there have been some concerns that this new map represents a form of gerrymandering. Your thoughts on that? Do you feel it's a form of gerrymandering?
I think anytime a legislature makes changes that they are allowed to do, whether it's done by a commission or whether it's done by a legislative body, whoever's in the majority will move things directly that way. During my 27 years, I well remember when East Texas held a number of Democrats who served and served honorably. But what happened is that there was a change in those parties in Washington, D.C., that precipitated this change also. So I think that it's the beauty of the Constitution, it's the beauty of the system that we have to move the states and move them in a way that the country would do better at. And I think that the country, while I may not personally find an advantage here, uh, I think that the country will find advantage with 5 new Republican members from the state of Texas.
So just to be clear, yes or no, do you feel this is a form of gerrymandering?
No, I do not feel it's a form of gerrymandering. I think that when you look at how things were drawn at the last map, the bottom line is the federal law stated that Texas had to abide by is that those who were minority members of Congress would be guaranteed a seat. They were guaranteed victory. And so what happened is that they would be the first at the table. They would draw their seats, and they would draw their seats that were entirely made for the decision of their reelection. So the Republican legislators just took the things that were left over and divided them up. So those rules have changed. No one is guaranteed a seat in as long as you follow the law and do not do it to harm anyone. If you do it just to draw lines, then that's a political decision. But if you do it to deny someone an activity, that might be considered against the law. So, is it gerrymandering to take what is left over and to draw seats? No, because when you really look at, you're trying to cater to a person that sits somewhere with their house. This is not the kind of job where you're expected to move 100 miles or 80 miles just to satisfy where what it looks like. So putting it all together means that you do have someone like Pete Sessions that lives in Waco who came into conflict, so to speak, with 100 miles south of him, another member of Congress from Round Rock, another member of Congress that's just north of him, 45 miles, and in Corsicana. And so these things have to be drawn where the member of Congress actually has a chance to live where they're from, to represent their home, the people that they have. And to assume that it's just gerrymandering because it goes out and takes in other areas that did not have a member, I don't think that it would be fair to say it's gerrymandering to get across the state when in fact I was most genuine about my representation. It may have been a long way, but it's something that I think I fulfilled and I think I'm proud of. And I'd certainly like to keep it if that's what this is, because of the kind of people that East Texas has generated, the goodwill that has come from them, and the elected officials who have accepted me to work with them.
Is there anything else you would like to tell our audience about the proposed redistricting map?
Well, the proposed redistricting map is expected to be looked at. There are hearings that are going on now, and perhaps a vote whenever the legislature decides. I am not going to go to Austin. I do not need to be in Austin. I've not really been asked my opinion on this because it's entirely of the state of Texas. And so I will then have to accept that the not only the decision that they make, but we'll look forward to working in Washington with these new representatives with the goal of making Texas stronger and better.
Congressman Pete Sessions, we appreciate you taking the time.
You bet. Thank you.